Hey, what is going on, guys? Today, I'll be taking on Pokemon FireRed using only shiny Pokemon. Normally, shiny Pokemon have odds of 1 out of 8,192, so I'm using a modified game with much better shiny odds. There aren't many rules to this challenge. I, of course, can only use shiny Pokemon, meaning that if I randomly find one on a route, no matter how bad it may be, I have to use it on my team. I'm also not allowed to use held items, or accept gift Pokemon and soft reset for them. So that includes Lapras, Hitmonlee, Eevee, Pokemon like that, unless they're shiny on the very first try. With all that out of the way, I hope you enjoy. I chose Charmander for my starter, and while Squirtle is my favorite, I think Charmander will work out better for me in this run. After a while resetting, I get my shiny Charmander, which is my first teammate, and no more than just a few seconds later, the unthinkable happens. No way! Oh my gosh, I was just about to pause the recording for a second. Okay, you can't make this up. We just got a shiny Pidgey first encounter. Oh gosh, no way. First encounter. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. And then it kicked in. Wait. Oh no, it's all kicking in now. I don't have any Pokeballs yet. Oh gosh. Oh, come on. I just now realized what happened. I don't have any Pokeballs yet. Let me look in my bag. I know I don't. I have a potion from the PC. Oh, gosh. Well, that's a big sign of defeat right there. Pidgey, we're going to have to let you go. Oh, that's disappointing. Goodbye, shiny Pidgey. Now that I actually have Pokeballs, I found my first shiny randomly as I was about to enter Viridian Forest. Unfortunately, it was a Rattata, and not only is this not going to help at all versus Brock, but this just isn't an ideal teammate for the game in general. But we're just going to have to work with it. Upon fighting Brock, I was really only able to use Rattata as a free heal on Charmander. I was just about to take Onix out, but my speed was lowered, causing me to lose the battle. After a few more failed attempts, I evolved into Charmeleon. It's still pretty difficult, even losing to probably just 1 HP. Eventually, with the combination of a critical hit and Onix using Bind, I was able to take him out completely and get the first badge. Of course, I had to go with the Helix Fossil, and after that, I went Mega Punch and Mega Kick on my Charmeleon. These moves definitely won't be permanent, but for now, they will serve well in a few situations at least. A bit after that, my Rattata evolved into Raticate, which is going to do a lot for my team right now. Before taking on Misty, I decided to do the rival battle first, and Raticate actually held up a lot better than I thought he would. With only really using Hyper Fang and Quick Attack, it was an easy battle. Up next was Misty. Staryu was no problem, and surprisingly, I was about to win with only Raticate, but Starmie went first, and I got taken out, so I had to switch to Charmeleon, and Water Pulse took me all the way just to 1 HP, and I managed to land my very risky Mega Kick and finish the battle, with just 1 HP left. I couldn't believe this. It really is an understatement to say I needed a little bit of luck on my side for that one. Moving past Cerulean, I had to fight my rival Bruh before taking on the third gym. He has a shiny of his own, which I didn't even know was possible. After only using Ember once, he switched to his starter, which I didn't really expect, and I didn't want to get melted, so I went to Eradicate. Hyper Fang took out Wartortle with a crit, and the rest of the battle was left really no challenge. Before taking on Lieutenant Surge, I taught Dig to Charmeleon so it would be effective on electric types. Voltorb was easy, and I got a crit that I didn't even need. I switched to Eradicate to take out Pikachu because I wanted its static ability not to activate on my Charmeleon. I somehow got through Raichu's double team and my own paralysis and got a really solid hit on Raichu, but he healed up and I got stuck in paralysis. After doing a bit of damage, I got stuck again, but Raticate held up really well and I ended up not even needing Charmeleon to win the battle. Nothing exciting happened in Rock Tunnel, but the next gym battle was Erika. Victory Bell was actually a bit harder than I remember. It seemed there was no way to avoid instant paralysis, and I can't hold something like a Cherry Berry because no held items. Oddly enough, she had a shiny Tangela, and one hit was all I needed to one-shot it. Last up was Vileplume, and Giga Drain obviously wasn't going to do too much. Acid does a lot, but I managed to score a crit, and after fully healing, that didn't really mean much though. Each Ember would do about a third of Vileplume's health, and I got another critical hit to win. I don't really like to rely on getting lucky crits to win battles, but sometimes that's just how it plays out. If I won, there's no point in really redoing the battle just to win again. I would have won anyway, but I definitely understand that it's more entertaining to see a really close matchup and finish to the battle. Underneath the game corner is the Rocket hideout, with Giovanni as the boss at the end. He sent out Onix, which I wasn't ready for, and with Dig being my only good move, that wasn't really going to be enough knowing that Kangaskhan was coming next. After brutally losing, I taught Brick Break to Charmeleon, which I got on the SSN boat, which would definitely suit me better for this fight. It does about half of Onix's health, and he used Bind for reasons nobody knows. And up next was Rhyhorn, who was shiny, of course. I really don't know what my luck is with trainers having shiny Pokemon, but oh well. A Dig and Brick Break combo took it out, and last up was the Kangaskhan, who was a bit more underwhelming than I remember as a kid. It was pretty easy to take out. And next up, we had Lavender Town. Gotta get the T first. I'm speeding through this rival fight because it wasn't really a challenge whatsoever, but guess what? Something of significance actually happened after. But before I show that, I don't know how, but I was about to lose a trainer battle, and all I had left was my Meowth for cut, and somehow I won the battle. I was level 12. Anyway, with how many encounters I was having, what I expected did indeed happen. My next teammate appeared, a shiny Ghastly. This isn't horrible, but for this playthrough I will be keeping it at a Haunter, because I need to do something with my emulator to trade, to evolve into a Gengar, and I just want to be as legit as possible. But after that I got the Pokeflute, and the Snorlax encounter indeed was not shiny, so I moved on my way to Fuchsia City where the next gym is. This gym was going to be a lot more difficult than Erika's for sure, so I prepped my team a bit before attempting it. Of course, Ghastly wasn't ready at all, I had just caught it, so I leveled that up a bit. Charmeleon evolved into Charizard, who just looks amazing in this game. I took 2 trainers out under Fuchsia City, which got my Ghastly to evolve after I did some more training. Now, it was time to attempt the Koga battle. I think I'm ready. He starts with a Coughing at level 37. Yeah, it's pretty high for right now. Hyper Fang does a bit under half health, and I got poisoned immediately. Second Hyper Fang misses, and I get hurt pretty bad, but the second one takes it down. I switch out to my Haunter to get ready for Muck, because I have a plan for him. Muck is very known for spamming Minimize and making it almost impossible to be hit. I confused Muck, but he managed to avoid being hit in confusion twice in a row. I set up a curse which hurt a lot, but it'll hurt Muck as well each turn. For the third attack in a row, Muck avoided confusion. After being hit, he just barely didn't get taken out and got to fully heal up. Now I was doing a lot of damage due to the curse and my attacks. He fully healed again, which was the last time he was able to. The damage from curse was actually doing around the same as my normal attacks, and I confused Muck for a second time. Of course, he didn't get hit and my Haunter fainted. Muck was very injured now, and a flamethrower from Charizard took it out. Now there was another Coughing, which I forgot Koga even had, but it was a one-shot, so that's pretty easy. Last was his Wheezing at a whopping level 43, which I was worried about. To my shock, Flamethrower did over half. That was great because all I needed was to not miss my next attack, and I won. This was probably the best battle I've had up to this game so far. Giovanni was next, and not too tough overall. He had a shiny Nidoqueen, which was cool, and I was able to confuse it and set up a curse, so it would be losing a lot of damage passively. For some reason, it was just using Tail Whip, and after some patience, I took it out. Really don't know why, I was literally using only Tail Whip, but I was fine with it. Because of this guy's crazy luck, his Rhyhorn was shiny too. It wasn't too hard, but the Kangaskhan was, since it took my Charizard out. But it took no effort once I switched into Eradicate, and that was the battle. Next gym leader was Sabrina. I was able to one-shot her Kadabra, but I was a bit worried if I could take her down with only Haunter, and I figured that out pretty quickly. I guess I almost took down Mr. Mime, right? I forgot she had Venomoth, so I knew that was going to be pretty easy. One Flamethrower was all it was going to take. Last up was Alakazam, who has horrible defense, and Flamethrower did a bit over half, meaning that the second one was going to take it out. I got a critical hit, but it wasn't really necessary to win. I was going to win anyway. I wanted to see if I could get a Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, but it would only count if the very first one was shiny, and unfortunately, no shiny. My next plan was a risky one, but it worked out in my favor. I was going to fish in hopes for a shiny being a Dratini, so I could have Dragonite as my teammate. Here's what happened for my successful fishes. First up was Seeking. Not too good, but not too bad either. Second one, another Seeking. On my third successful fish, I got it. I started thinking the program was glitched because it should have taken a heck of a lot more encounters than 3, unless if I'm just super lucky, but there it was. The new addition to my team, a shiny Dratini. After quite a while, I evolved into Dragonair at level 30, which also meant I could teach him Surf now. Dragonite can learn Surf, but Dratini can't, and neither can Dragonite, so it was good to take advantage of learning it now while I could. It's time for the 7th gym, which is Blaine. The whole battle overall wasn't too bad, but it definitely wasn't easy either. I led with Dragonair since I have Surf, but I don't have that same type of attack bonus helping me out. It almost gets Growlithe into the red, but Blaine heals, which I think is actually good, so he won't have as much heals for a stronger Pokemon later on. After 2 more Surfs, I'm able to take it out, and next is Ponyta. Surf does about the same as it did to Growlithe, and heals again. Thankfully, I can take Ponyta out without losing Dragonair. Next up is Rapidash, so basically his previous Pokemon, but better. Stomp made me flinch, and the next one took Dragonair out. Charizard still has Dig, which was my backup for Surf. It does more than I expected, about 2/3 of Rapidash's health, and Slash finishes it all. The final Pokemon is Arcanine at level 47. I set up a curse with Haunter, so he'll be losing health each turn. Fire Blast thankfully misses, meaning I could get a Confuse Ray in. He doesn't get hit, but Fire Blast happens to miss again, and he cures the confusion with a full heal for some reason. Psychic actually does a lot of damage, and the curse does the rest. It was actually a pretty good feeling knowing I could take it out with only Haunter, especially being 8 levels lower. And yes, I know. If Fire Blast didn't miss, that wouldn't have happened, I know. Not much happened in the Sevii Islands, because it's pretty easy, not gonna lie, but out of nowhere, this forced Hypno encounter happened to be shiny. I had no plan on getting a shiny Hypno for my team at all, but I guess that's how it worked out. Hypno isn't really a bad Pokemon or anything, but it's probably not my first choice either. At last, after returning to Kanto, it was time for the final gym, Giovanni. He led with a Rhyhorn, so I started off with Dragonair for Surf. It was super easy because I was 4 times effective, and after leveling up was Dugtrio. Earthquake got a critical hit and barely left me alive, but 1 Surf is all that it took, luckily. For Nidoqueen, I went with Haunter and just decided to YOLO it with a Psychic, which did a lot. Poison Sting did literally nothing, and he healed again, but he was now out of heals, so I could take it out. Nidoking, on the other hand, started with the Confuse Ray, and he got hit. For some reason, he cured it immediately, but Psychic took it out. Last up was Rhyhorn, so I went back to my almost dead Dragonair. Surf took it out. I was pretty surprised since it was 8 levels higher, but I guess it was 4 times effective. This gym really was kinda underwhelming, but my team was set up pretty well for it. Before moving on, I needed to get my last teammate. I was really worried about Lorelei in the Elite Four, so I went to the power plant for an electric type. I was honestly fine with whatever I found, but I ended up finding a shiny Pikachu, which I used a Thunderstone on and trained up quite a lot off screen. Now for this next part, I had a bit of issues with. I took a large break and my recording for the rival fight got corrupted. Pretty much what happened was, I thought I was recording my emulator, but I wasn't. I was just recording a black screen. I was like, well, okay, that's useless. So, here's a recap of what happened. I saved after, so I don't have a way of going back. But a quick recap. Raichu is what I started with, and I took out Pidgeot. Dragonair took out Rhyhorn with only 1 Surf, being 4 times effective. Raticate took out his Alakazam because Hyper Fang just does an absolute crazy amount of damage with the horrible defense that Alakazam has. It also took out Blastoise, my Raticate did, after Raichu helped with a Thunderbolt. I evolved my Dragonite, and it was time to show my final team. I'll let you guys take a look. I'm all prepped for the Elite Four, I got my items ready, and I'm ready to go. The battle where I beat Lorelei certainly wasn't my first attempt, but allow me to show you how the battle played out. I had to start by using Double Team twice, and I needed Dugong to use something like Hail instead of doing a ton of immediate damage. Any attack was going to do over half my health, and I got a crit and took Dugong out, and Cloyster was up next, which was a guaranteed one-shot no matter what, which I learned from previous attempts. Thunderbolt was just too good. She was spamming Protect, which got pretty stale, and once I hit that Thunderbolt, I knew I was good to go. Slowbro was a Pokemon I was worried about though. I couldn't use my Attract move because of the abilities Slowbro has. Thunderbolt did about 2/3 of her health, and I actually got to hit the second one, which didn't happen on any previous attempt. By then, Raichu would already be dead actually. Lapras was up next, the final Pokemon before Jinx. I started off with Attract, and Lapras got immobilized. Thunderbolt hit for just under half Lapras' health, and she immediately got stuck in paralysis. I used Slam to prevent Lapras from getting in the healing zone after a Thunderbolt. Citrus Berry brought that health back. I got hit from a Surf, which did quite a lot, and I got to hit another Thunderbolt after the Slam, and it was just enough. The last Pokemon, Jinx. She's not a water type, which means I can go to Charizard for Flamethrower. I got put to sleep and she healed, which wasn't exactly the most fun scenario. I avoided using the Pokeflute due to the rules of the challenge, and I fell in love as well. For Charizard, this was not going well anymore. I just couldn't wake up. And Ice Punch hit me with a terrible crit. Oh gosh, I still couldn't wake up. I lost Charizard and went for a Super Fang on my Raticate, bringing Jinx's health to half. I was in a panic. Hypno, frozen. Raticate, dead. Charizard, dead. I had to rely on Haunter to finish the job, which I probably should have done earlier. I gotta focus up. I did great up until that Jinx. Next up is Bruno, and I really wasn't too worried about this battle. I haven't had much trouble with Bruno in any normal playthrough I've done before, and I started off with Dragonite to go against Onix because one surf is all I needed. Hitmonchan was next, and I have Fly. I didn't know if it would one-shot or not, but it actually did. I was thinking it was going to be left with a little bit of health, but nope. Machamp I was a bit worried for though. He's so strong in level 56. He uses Bulk Up, and my Fly actually just does the right amount of damage. Perfect. Well, if he didn't have a Citrus Berry at least. Now I'm in a scenario where he's going to be left with just a bit of health, and he literally had a pixel of red health afterwards. He full restores, and Machamp gets another Bulk Up in, meaning that Fly did a bit under half this time. I switch out to Charizard to use Fly, to make sure it wouldn't put Machamp into the healing range, and well, that worked out, but that meant the second attack left him with just a fraction of health again. Not going too well. Luckily for me though, he didn't heal this time, and I was able to use Dragonite to finish off Machamp. I expected Hitmonlee to be a one-shot like Hitmonchan, and well, that's what happened. Last up was another Onix, so I went with Surf, and I ended the battle the same way it started. Bruno down. For Agatha, I wasn't too worried, but I have had trauma with this fight before. Yeah, you heard me right. A few years back, I got put to sleep 12 times in this fight, and I cried so hard. Top 5 worst days alive. Enough of my childhood grievings though. Gengar started off with Double Team to make it harder to hit. I was going to use Calm Mind twice, but I plan on switching at some point, so after one, I used Psychic and I almost took Gengar out. She fully healed, and after, I used it again, and I took Gengar out. Next was Golbat, meaning I could electrocute it with Raichu. I almost took it out, but then I got poisoned and confused, now everyone's favorite combo. I avoided confusion and took out Golbat without further problem though. I started again with Calm Mind on Arbok, but it didn't mean much since I immediately got hit with a critical hit Sludge Bomb, and the second one took me out before I could even do damage. I hit first after switching to Haunter, and it did almost 2/3 of Arbok's health, and the second one did the job. Haunter versus Haunter was next, a mirror match, and I don't really know how at all, but I went first, and after almost taking it out, she healed, and I was able to attack twice in a row. Finally was another Gengar, but this one was stronger than the previous by 4 levels. Haunter fainted, so I went with Fire Blast on my Charizard just to get a lot of power in. Did a bit over half, but she had a Citrus Berry, so I used Flamethrower to do less damage and not get her in that healing zone. It did a great amount, and she didn't heal surprisingly, so I won. Agatha down. Who we got next? Lance from the Johto region, alright. He leads off with a Gyarados, which is just perfect for my Raichu. With Gyarados being 4 times weak to Electric, I could easily one-shot him with a Thunderbolt. After hitting level 50, he switches to Dragonair, so I switch into my Dragonite. Dragon Claw gets a critical one-shot, but for my previous attempts I can verify that that critical hit was not necessary to actually take it out, and that proves itself on the next Dragonair, since I one-shot it no problem. On Dragonite, I paralyze him immediately, and then use Dragon Claw, which does just under half. He gets stuck in paralysis luckily, and I fly to make Hyper Beam miss and avoid that healing zone. With the combo of that and his berry, Dragonite was left at the perfect health for me to take him out untouched. Last up was Aerodactyl, and as long as I could hit a Surf, I was good to go, and I did. It did half of his health, and he used the same move, which is not enough to take me out, which means I'm now the champion. Well, I guess we have one more battle. Lance is down. I gotta mention this real quick before I fight the champion. My Pokemon's XP bars may be a little bit different than before, because I thought I lost my footage to Lance, so I went back and fought him again, but then I guess it turns out I didn't lose the footage, so if my bars are a bit different, it's because I battled and beat him 2 times, if that makes sense. Anyway, the time has finally come. It's time to beat FireRed with only shiny Pokemon. First up is Pidgeot. Raichu is best suited for this part of the battle. My accuracy gets lowered, but my Thunderbolt still hits. Does a lot of damage, but Gary switches in to Shiny Rhydon. Not much I can do with a Raichu against a Rhydon, so I go over to Dragonite. It's a bit risky of a move if he has a Rock move, but he uses Earthquake, and well, that can't hit me at all. With this being 4 times effective, Surf is an immediate one-shot. Back to Pidgeot means back to Raichu for me. He's still super injured and he's paralyzed from static, but it doesn't even matter because I get a hit with Thunderbolt, which is all I needed anyway. It's time for Alakazam now, so I switch into Haunter. I didn't expect to get a hit in, but Alakazam used Future Sight, which doesn't do damage immediately. It does a few turns later. My Shadow Ball actually did over half health, which was way more than I expected, but that was the end of Haunter after I got hit with a Psychic. I was keen that I didn't get hit with that immediately though. Due to Alakazam's horrible defense, I switch into Eradicate and finish Alakazam off with no problem. Now it's time for me to use Charizard, because Exeggutor's up next. Sadly, I took the hit of Future Sight, which did a ton. I went for Fire Blast and I didn't miss, and it just barely didn't take out Exeggutor. He missed Egg Bomb thankfully, but he fully healed after. Flamethrower does a great deal of damage actually, and I burned him as well, which put him into the heal range. After another Flamethrower, and another right after, I took him down. I just love going twice in a row. Anyway, Blastoise was up, which I was kinda worried for. He's so much stronger than Raichu, but somehow I still go first. Thunderbolt, come on! Does just around half health, almost exactly half. Hydro Pump of course takes me out, and I determined that Hypno would be best. Not sure why, but that's what my brain said. He healed from a parry, which sucks, and I went with poisoning him as my best idea. Right after, I got hit with another Hydro Pump, which barely left me hanging. Poison almost gets Blastoise into the red, but with that poison he heals up. Now I'm stuck using Psychic, which almost does nothing. My only choice was to try to poison him again, but I got taken out. I went with Eradicate because it was really my only option. I needed Dragonite for Arcanine later. I got a Super Fang in, which was good, because it cuts his HP in half no matter what it's at. My only real option now was Charizard, and I was worried. I went for a Slash, which did close to nothing. Now I was worried, only one Pokemon left, and I needed him for Arcanine too. I went for Dragon Claw for that strong stab, and luckily I went first and it was enough. I had one Pokemon left. Surf was my only real plan. Extreme Speed, it's an okay move, but not really the best against me. Surf did just under half. I needed to use Fly to make sure Arcanine wasn't left at really low red health. So I did. I used Fly and it put Arcanine's HP in the absolute perfect spot. It was literally the perfect outcome. I surfed and put out his flame. Kanto region was now all in my power with my full team of shiny Pokemon. Felt great being done finally. As I walk into the Hall of Fame, I really hope you enjoyed the video and leave a comment on what challenge I should do next. I have a few videos like this on my channel, but they're really old and quite frankly they're pretty horrible videos. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this one. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.